and Stitch podcast. I'm your host, Kristen, and today I'm going to be talking to you about a few whips, some yarn acquisitions, an actual finished object who has a name, and doing some pondering about a design project I've been working on. So if any of that sounds like it would be of interest to you, I hope you will stick around. All right, friends, I originally had a lovely, upbeat, vibrant podcast planned for today, but the world has just been conspiring against me. So, for starters, 2 nights ago, my husband did not close the dog all the way up at night, and in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m., she snuck into our bed, and I felt guilty about forcing her to leave after she had so stealthily made her way up. So we let her stay, with the result that I slept like garbage. And then last night, my son, who is 10, not 3, woke me up at 5 in the morning screaming about a thunderstorm. And add to that it has been raining for 3 days and my hair is just a ridiculous, frizzy, humidity mess. So I have done a bare minimum of makeup and I am wearing my glasses to hide the bags under my eyes, and I'm wearing my hair up so it doesn't scare any of you. All that to say, I'm not quite as awake and done up as I usually am for a podcast, but let's plow ahead. So the first thing I'm going to show you is, ta-da! I have finished my emotional support chicken. So I invite you all to say hello to Isabel Allende, who has just been finished for about 12 hours now, maybe a little longer than that. Isabel Allende is my favorite author, so I have named my chicken in her honor. So this is definitely one of the more ridiculous projects that I have done recently. I do not normally make stuffies of any kind, and I am not going to lie, the sewing on this toward the end was quite tedious, but it turned out really cute, and it really does put a smile on my face when I see it. I did have some fiberfill left over from, I think when the kids maybe were babies, I knit a couple of stuffies. So fortunately I still had that and was able to use it. These tail feathers could be a little fuller, but it is certainly not something I am going to open it back up and fix. So she definitely looks better from the side. If you view her straight on, she looks a little wonky. She's not quite straight. That is okay. Like I said, she really just does put a smile on my face. So I used all kinds of stash yarn for this. The main color is I'm not gonna remember what it is. It is some yarn I picked up when I was trying to do wool shopping at Joann. Definitely watch that video if you haven't. And it is something very basic that lots of people use, and I just don't remember what it's called. I'll put it here. So that was the main color, which I liked for this because it makes it look kind of speckly. The green is, it is a single skein of something from Sandnes Garn, I believe, that I picked up when I was just wanting to try a few new to me yarns, and I just picked up one skein to give it a shot. I want to say it's maybe Double Sunday. Maybe? I don't know. That's what that is. And then the yellow and the red were some Knit Picks Wool of the Andes that happened to be in my stash from something or other. I got a giant box of the safety eyes on Amazon because apparently that's the only way that you can buy them. So now I have enough eyeballs for like 24 more chickens. If you are working on an emotional support chicken and would like some eyeballs, let me know. There are a variety of colors, but I chose these kind of amber eyes for Isabel here. It also had blue. I was really tempted by the blue. And then it has like a really dark brown and a green and a brighter kind of golden yellow. So yeah, got tons of those. So overall, is this like a ridiculous project? Obviously. Was it like super fun to knit? Not really. But the finished object is absolutely adorable, and I am happy to have it. I'm really hoping that both of my kids seem to have gotten a kick out of it. None of them has asked for their own chicken yet. I really hope they don't. I in general don't like knitting things twice, and like I said, this wasn't an especially fun knit or anything, so I'm not really interested in doing it again, but probably one of them will just end up stealing this one. That'll be fine. I think Isabel will be okay with it. But finally, an emotional support chicken. That is my only finished object, but now that we are getting into fall, I have pulled out a bunch of sweater whips that I have been doing some work on. So I'll just share some of those with you. So this one is nearly done. I just need another sleeve. This is my Isle Pullover. This is a pattern by Brianna Mason. Is this just lovely dusty shade of pink that I really love. So the yarn I'm using for this is, I'm not gonna remember the brand, the Fiber Company, and Make, which is one of their newer lines, and this is an Aran weight. So this is a blend of alpaca and wool. Is it 50-50? Yes, it's a 50-50 wool and alpaca blend. I bought this probably from Webs. And this color is called Soft Love. And you can see it is, it has a little bit of a halo with all that alpaca in there. It has been lovely to work with. It is, the alpaca makes it softer. The wool is not a super soft, sorry, the cat is really misbehaving. The wool is not a super soft wool, but you have the alpaca, it's itching my nose. So you have a relatively soft overall yarn, adding sort of a Highland wool, which is not typically super soft, with the alpaca. So like I said, I just have one sleeve left. Now the sleeves, not unfortunately, they take a while because as you can see, they've got a lot going on. And then they have an extra long cuff to be folded over. So the sleeves are not super fast because you've got to keep track of this stitch pattern. I'm doing this so you can see it's like a down the side of the sleeve, you get like a straight column with the ribbon going at a diagonal. So you've got to keep track of that so the patterning is created by increasing at one point and decreasing at another point, but then you also have to add actual increases or actual decreases to narrow the sleeves. So, you know, you can't just eliminate the increases, that would screw up the patterning. So you have to add, it's a lot to keep track of, but it is really cute. I've just got that one sleeve left. And I am hoping, this is an Aran weight wool alpacas. This is not something I'm going to be wearing now in September and October, probably really not until late November, December. And that seems like plenty of time to finish a sleeve. I'm really looking forward to wearing this. I do hope it's going to block out a bit more. It looks a little narrow. So the sleeves, you know, because they're ribbing, they're very stretchy. I'm not worried about them. The body does look a little narrow, but hopefully with the blocking, that's going to open up a bit. So that is my Isle Pullover, and that is probably the project I am closest to finishing. The next project I have been working on is my Great Gingham Raglan. So according to the pattern, I'm done the body. However, I think it's too cropped and I'm not sure about it. Obviously it's going to open up with blocking, but it still looks very short. It does have a longer armholes, but the body just looks very short to me. So I may add another repeat, but I want to do the sleeves first. So technically the pattern as you do this is a bottom up raglan, which generally speaking, I hate. I just happen to really like this design. Otherwise I would not be doing that. So technically you're actually supposed to knit the sleeves first, at least that's what the pattern tells you. It doesn't really matter, but you have to knit both the body and the sleeves before you can join everything together to knit the yoke. So I just did the body first because I knew if I had to do the sleeves first, this would never get done. And so this is, according to the patterns, 5 repeats of the stitch patterns. This is the full body. You can see it looks very short, and it is supposed to be kind of cropped. It'll block out a little bit. But I'm going to start on the sleeves so that I can see about my yarn. I do not want to have to buy extra yarn because the spin cycle is very expensive. I don't remember what color this is. I want to say it's Velocore. And then the solid color is Durarum Natura Ulisse in the Merlot colorway. I do think, so it has a short sleeve and a long sleeve option, but I think I'm gonna go somewhere in the middle and do a 3/4 length sleeve. So I just started the first sleeve. Where are you? Here you are. But now I can't decide if I want to be really particular about the color matching. I don't want to waste the yarn because, like I said, it's expensive. I don't want to have to buy more. I'm not sure if I have enough to add onto the body. But I also am, I don't know how I'm going to feel if I get to the top of the sleeve and the color is significantly different from what's here. I also don't really know how I would manage that though, because I don't know how much yarn a sleeve is going to take. Like I could make the 2 sleeves match each other, but I don't know if I would be able to make the body match the sleeves. And you can see there's quite a bit of difference in this yarn. So it's this bright orange down here, very muted in here, browns, almost pink, less, like a duller orange. So there really are a lot of colors in here. This is what's left of the first skein of this yarn. So this is still attached to the body for now. And I think I'm just going to leave it there because I have 2 more skeins and I've wound them up together. It's obviously really hard to tell in this. So if you're not familiar with spin cycle, the skeins, even within the same colorway, can vary a lot. That's just the nature of the way that this yarn is designed. So they have the same kind of basic colors, but you know, some might have more of the darker and some might have more of the lighter shades, and some, the sequence of the kind of stripes can vary. So just looking at this, I can't really tell what's happening inside. Like, it kind of looks brighter than the other skein that I used, but who knows what's hiding in the middle there. As I said, this is 2 skeins wound together. So if I start the sleeve working from the outside of the ball, I think that's going to match sort of the bottom of the sweater well, but I'm really more concerned with the top of the arm and how that's going to look. So I've just I finished up the body earlier this week and I've just kind of been letting it marinate while I kind of try to decide if I want to be really fussy about the color management or if I just want to let it do whatever it's going to do. I don't know. I still haven't decided. So I absolutely do love how this looks so far. It's so fallish. Just these perfect fallish colors. I love it. I absolutely love it. But yeah, I'm sort of in a quandary about how I want to manage my colors, or if I want to manage my colors. So if you have knit the Great Gingham Raglan and you have any suggestions or just anecdotes about, you know, how the colors worked for you, how you manage the colors, you know, assuming you use the spin cycle, I would love to hear them. So please leave a comment. We're just going to kind of let that marinate for a little bit until I figure out what I'm going to do. Again, the yarns are like sport weight, but all that color work, the string to color work, means it's going to be a very warm sweater. Because when you are carrying those yarns behind, you get a double thick fabric. So I'm not great at color management. But this is what the back, you know, the inside of this looks like. So you can see lots of big strands that are making that double thick fabric that is really going to be very warm. So again, no big rush to finish that sweater. The other thing I have been working on is my Amelie cardigan. And this I would like to get finished. So as you can see, this is very lightweight. So this is 3 lace weight yarns held together. It's very drapey. It's really coming out very variegated on the camera. It doesn't look quite that kind of speckly in real life. There is some marling in there because I am holding 2 strands of a lace weight alpaca with 1 strand of a silk mohair. And I have finished, the body is finished except for the hem and the button bands, obviously. And I have been working on the sleeve. And it is a very big sleeve, as you can see. This is very, it's supposed to be oversized. But I'm supposed to knit the sleeve until it's about 17 inches long. And I swear, every time I measure it, it's still 15 inches long. I don't know what I'm doing. What is happening? It does not seem to be getting any longer. So I have been, this was on hold for the summer. I haven't been working on it, but I put it back on the needles and I've been working on that one sleeve, and I swear nothing is changing. So the sleeve is fine. I mean, it's just a stockinette sleeve. It's very big. You can see I'm working my sleeve on a 16-inch circular needle, and I usually will do magic loop for my sleeves. And for most of my sweaters, my sleeves are like 12 or 13 inches around. This one is obviously quite large. As I said, it's designed to be oversized. But yeah, I don't know. There's something, something is like unraveling my sleeves at night. I don't know. But this sleeve just is not going anywhere. Then I have to do one more sleeve. The hem, the button bands, and the collar. So overall, this is sort of a pretty mostly stockinette design, but it has some really nice trim and finishing details that I am looking forward to if I ever finish the sleeve. So the yarn I'm using, this one is the Knit Picks, whatever their 100% lace weight alpaca is. I don't remember. Oh well. It's 2 strands of that held double with this. So Cumulus by Fiber Spates. And this is, so this is an alpaca silk, not a mohair silk, an alpaca silk. So lots and lots of alpaca in here. In general, I do not recommend alpaca or 100% alpaca for for sweaters, because it really has a tendency to grow and stretch out of shape. But because this is already very oversized and we've got some really strong silk in there that is going to help it to retain its shape, I decided to go ahead with it and just do the alpaca. So I have been working on this for quite a while, just because it's a lot of stockinette. Obviously it's a cardigan, so it's worked flat, and it just gets a little monotonous, but it is getting there. It is getting there, and I do hope to have this one. I should really put more attention on this one, because this is probably the one I'm going to wear soonest. Just because it's so, even with the 100% alpaca, it's so light and airy. This is going to be really nice to throw on in the fall. But I have to figure out what kind of demon is messing with my sleeves. And then I couldn't quite help myself. I did have to cast on a new project for fall, which doesn't look like much yet. So this is the start, the back, I assume, of a Lulu slipover. This is a pattern by Petite Knit. It is the first Petite Knit pattern I am ever knitting. And it's a slipover or a sweater vest. So right now I'm just working on the armhole shaping for the back. It has long armholes. So this is very straightforward so far. It is just increases. So you are casting on for the back neck, you're working increases for the shoulder, Then you work straight, and now you work armhole increases. And right here, you can see I split a stitch, and I need to go fix that. I don't know if I'm gonna drop it down or what. But boy, that's annoying. Okay. So the yarn I'm using for this was part of my wool shopping experiment at Joann and Michael's. This is the Eddie Bauer Woolpacka. I actually don't know if I have enough of this yarn for the project. It seems like I should, but because it's just a sweater vest, but it is a very oversized vest, and I think I only have 2 balls of this, and it is no longer available. So I looked at actual Joann's and I looked online, and this, I don't know if all of the Woolpack is not available, but certainly this color is not available. So I've got my fingers crossed that I am not going to run out of yarn for this. I thought I had bought 3, but I seem to only be able to find 2. So this is an 80% extra fine merino, superwash merino, and a 20% alpaca, supposedly. And I have a grand total of, Alexa, what's 277 times 2?
277 times 2 is 554.
Okay, so I have 554 yards. It's very hairy. So as opposed to other things with alpaca, which have a nice halo, and this does have some halo, I don't know if you can see it, it also has just a lot of hairs that are sticking out, which is not necessarily the norm for alpaca wool blends. So this leads me to believe that this is made not with sort of the finest alpaca, but maybe with some of the lower grade fibers from the alpaca. Because, as I said, alpaca yarns, generally speaking, they do have a nice halo, but they don't have sort of distinctive hairs sticking up and out, which this, I don't know if you can see it, but it definitely does. It is still soft, but it feels a little prickly, which alpaca should not. You know, what can you really expect for $6 a ball? Probably not the world's best alpaca, but still, we'll see how it turns out. This is a blah, blah, blah. This is a slip over, which means I would be layering it over something else, a long sleeve shirt of some kind, most likely. So if it's a little prickly, it may not matter too much, but just something to keep in mind. Like I said, at least this color is no longer available. So maybe this isn't even available at your Joann's and you'll never touch it and it doesn't matter. But if it's something you have considered, I would keep that in mind. So that has been a very, very simple stockinette, basic increases, nothing fancy going on with this yet. And it is overall a relatively simple pattern. So has been a nice, sort of easy, mindless knit. But like I said, I may be running out of yarn, we will see. All right, and I think that is all the whips I have been actively working on since the last episode of the podcast. So I am sharing, you may have noticed, a little bit of a sneak peek of an upcoming design, and that is that this mid-season t-shirt design that I have been working on is done, and I am wearing it today. And you can just enjoy my sweatpants that I am wearing. So you can get a little peek of this. This is currently being tested. It has been tech edited, and this is going to be coming out in the next few weeks. This is a really basic t-shirt with just some nice details. So it starts from the back of the neck and you work these increases. Then you're going to pick up on each side around for the top of the shoulder, and then work down to the armholes, front and back, and then join and work in the round. So as I said, it has some nice details. It has some lateral braids along the back shoulder. I have worked a lateral braid bind off, which, let's see if we get closer. You can see here. So it's binding off while working a lateral or a vickle braid, whatever you want to call it. And then that is also repeated at the hem. This is, I was originally just calling it my mid-season tea because I didn't have a name for it. It does have a name now. It's the Amankai tea. Amankai is the Quechua name for the flower that in English is known as the Peruvian lily. And so the reason I decided to go with this design is because I was really looking for something that I can wear kind of this time of year and in October, where it is not cold enough for a sweater yet. So yes, this is a t-shirt, but it also has some alpaca. So it's an alpaca linen blend from Camellia Fiber Company. It is her flax fingering. So it has some softness and some warmth in the alpaca, but it has some airiness from the linen, which is breathable and helps keep you cool. So kind of the best of both worlds. It's obviously short sleeves. Once the cooler weather does come, it could easily be layered over or under something else if you need more warmth. But it's really just designed to be sort of a breezy casual tee for when you really want to start wearing your knits, but it isn't actually cold. So today, it is currently 75 degrees. It's been raining for 3 days. We are supposed to get a break this afternoon. I don't mind because a couple days ago it was more in the upper 60s. The windows were open and I sat on the couch and I did my knitting and I watched Harry Potter, and it was lovely and fallish. But generally speaking, upper 60s and super humid, 70s, low 80s, those are not cold enough temperatures to be wearing big sweaters. I did put on a big cozy cardigan just because I purposely left all the windows open so that it would be quite cool in the house and I could wear it. Today, on the other hand, we have the air conditioning on because it is so humid that even though it's only 75 degrees, it's like disgusting. Just in terms of the humidity, I love rainy, cloudy, gray days for sitting at home and knitting. That's fine with me. But depending on where you live, it is probably not really cold enough for a sweater yet, so keep your eyes peeled for this one. Again, it's the Amankai tea, and it is going to be coming out, I want to say somewhere around October 7th might be the date that I said, but it's going to be that week. So that first full week of October is when it is going to come out. I just need to take some photos of it when we get some good weather. In terms of other designs, I have been working on this sweater. And I absolutely love it. So you can see this is an all over cabled sweater. I am working this in Durham Natura Elise. I don't remember the name of the colorway. Arable, that's the name of the colorway. It is a saddle shoulder drop sleeve. It's gonna have a big kind of cozy collar. As you can see, I have finished the yoke. I am now on to the body. So it's kind of moving faster in that I no longer have, purl rows. It's not as fast as you might like. And I absolutely love this, but I'm kind of having second thoughts about actually turning it into a pattern because it's a lot of work. It really is. So right now I have charts for just this size for the front, panel, so it's just the section in the middle, and the back panel. And then I have charts for the shoulders, just as far as before you begin shaping. And I just, incorporated the stitches as I was working into the pattern, so I didn't chart that. And that's just for one size. So I have, most of my patterns have 9 or 10 sizes. And just with the nature of, it's a lot easier to decrease in pattern than it is to increase in pattern. If you're taking away stitches, then when you no longer have enough stitches to work that pattern repeat, you just stop working it. It's a lot less intuitive to add stitches because you have to figure out how to add on to the pattern that is already established. Do you want to wait until you have 8 stitches to start this cable, or do you want to work a smaller cable? Ultimately, how many stitches are you going to have? So because of that, I feel like I would probably have to do multiple charts. So, you know, sizes that are close to each other, I might be able to do a single chart with, you know, start here, end here for this size. But as we get bigger, I would have to do separate charts. Then, you know, that's just the actual charting. Then you have to figure out all of your stitch counts and how to do your shaping and how to get the armholes to the correct length while working the pattern, while adding stitches for your neckline. It's a lot of work. And even when I was kind of designing full time, I was never selling hundreds and hundreds of a single pattern. I think the pattern I've probably, the two patterns I probably sold the most of are Torbellino and Diego. And the total number of sales is not hundreds and hundreds for each pattern. The point is, even when I was regularly releasing new patterns and this sort of regularly releasing patterns is what keeps eyes on designers and their portfolio, I was not selling that many patterns. And so now that I am not doing it full time, I've just released a handful of patterns throughout this year. I'm gonna have even less attention on my design. So it's a lot of work to go through to create the pattern and then test knit the pattern and pay for the tech editing of the pattern, which would probably end up being pretty expensive for this, just because there's a lot of sizes, a lot of charts, a lot of numbers that need to be gone through. Is it financially worth it? I don't know. You know, I love this design. That doesn't mean anybody else is going to love it. Yes, I could just be designing it for fun, and if I sell a few, great, and if not, but you know, I can also just design it for myself and wear it for myself and be happy to be wearing it for myself without all of that effort. So I'm kind of, you know, I'm still working on the sample, obviously, but I haven't really put any effort into starting to create the new chart. I have some basic numbers for, I think, 10 sizes, but it doesn't take into account fitting in the stitch patterns and things like that, or, you know, making sure that the armholes are long enough. It's just the basic stitch counts. What stitch counts do I need approximately for these sizes? How many rows approximately to get the correct yoke depth, etc., etc. But it's not taking into account all of the factors. There's still a lot of math that has to be done. So I don't know. If you have any thoughts, I would welcome them. I would love to hear them in the comments, but that doesn't change the fact that I really do love this sweater. So that's where I am on that. That may or may not become a pattern. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And so I have really been trying not to go overboard with yarn buying this year, and I've been doing okay, but I did get a couple of new yarns that I wanted to show you. So for years and years and years, I've been with my husband. I don't know, how long has it been? What year is it? I don't know. It's been like 12 years or something. That can't be right. No, it's been like 13 years, I guess. I've never knit him a sweater, was where I was going with this. Mostly because he insists on wearing short sleeves throughout the year and then complains that he's cold. And I just didn't think that he would actually wear a sweater. But he did kind of express some interest in maybe getting a hand knit sweater. So I decided to buy some yarn for that. Yeah, my husband is 6'3". That's a lot of yarn for a sweater, so I certainly was not going to invest in anything super pricey, because that ends up being quite a bit of money. So what I decided to go with is this. This is Valley Yarns Northampton. It is just a 100% wool. It really doesn't tell you anything beyond that other than it is made in Peru. So Peruvian Highland wool. It is pretty soft. It's definitely not as soft as a superwash merino or any kind of merino, but it is definitely soft and wearable. I don't remember what the price point was, but I had to buy, let's see, 7 balls of this. Is that right? Yeah. I ended up having to buy 7 of these. to make a sweater his size. And it still came out reasonable. You know, if you have shopped at Webb's, they also have discounts when you buy over a certain amount. So it ended up being quite a reasonable price. And I did swatch with this. So what I've decided the pattern I'm going to do is Stick Season by Rebecca something or other. I don't remember. My brain is not working today. So I did swatch for it. And so the pattern is actually written for women, but she gives you some guidance on making adjustments for men. And of course, I design patterns, so I think I can probably handle it. We shall see. Famous last words. So I did a swatch for it. The yarn is very nice, knit up. It's, you know, it's got shape, and it also has, you know, some drape, so it's not super stiff. And it's not like hard or scratchy or anything to work with. So I think this is gonna work well for him. I have not gotten anywhere beyond this little swatch, but we'll get there eventually. A little addition that I was absolutely forced to make to my stash so that I could, you know, I obviously did not have enough of any yarn in a sweater weight for a men's sweater. So, but while I was shopping for that, I decided to get a little yarn for a project that was in my queue as well. So if you have watched my video about my fall mood board, you will see that this color is right up there. So it's this nice, it's a little tealer in real life, so it's a little bit more green than what you're seeing. So this is Valley Yarns Beckett, and this is a wool alpaca blend. I love wool alpaca blends. I think we have that well established. Again, it does not say what kind of wool, it just says made in Peru. And the colorway is called Dark Teal, and so this is an Aran weight. This is about 70 yards per 50 grams, so that's definitely kind of like a bulky, Aran bulky weight yarn. So the project that I want to use this for is, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm gonna put a photo in here. So it's spelled E-U-N, I think. I don't know, is that Yoon? I don't know. This pullover, I'm gonna look it up just in case. Maybe it has that little pronunciation thing on Ravelry that some things do. Well, no such luck. It doesn't tell you how to pronounce it, but I did have the spelling correct, which is E-U-N. Pullover. As you can see, this is just a super cozy, you know, Sunday at home, snuggle up sweater that I think will be really nice to have in the December-January period of time. So that is why I bought that yarn. It is in keeping with my color scheme for the fall, but I have promised myself, I have a number of sweaters in my queue for the fall, but I promised no more cast-ons until I get some of this stuff off the needles. Again, famous last words. I did finish the chicken, so maybe that gives me license to cast on something. But I already have I have so many projects. It's ridiculous. So I did get that yarn, and I believe that is the only thing that has come into my stash. I will have more yarn soon. I recently submitted a design proposal to Knit Picks because I wanted to try their new yarn Yakish, and that is going to be coming to me, and hopefully I'll be able to share that in the next episode of the podcast. I am, so I've been seeing a lot of the Emyak, whatever, yarns, which obviously use yak around, and they look lovely, but they are quite pricey. So I thought I would give it, I would like to try a yak yarn that was maybe a little bit of a lower price point. So I sent a proposal for that, and I should be getting that yarn soon, and I'm really looking forward to it. All right, that's about all I have to share with you today. I really haven't been doing much sewing. I have just started a new project, and hopefully I'll be able to share a little bit with you next time. Thank you for joining me for this perhaps more subdued, slightly incoherent podcast. Links to everything that I've talked about are going to be in the description box down below. So if you're looking for any of the yarns or patterns, that is where you are going to find it. If you enjoyed this episode, I hope that you will give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. New knitting related videos here every Saturday. If you're looking for me on social media, you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Amelie, and I will see you next time. Bye.